There aren't a lot of profits being made right now in electric vehicles. You know, assume it's Gen 1 iPhone, and you know, to get to Gen 15, what does it look like, and when do you guys think you know, real profitability, even low digits profitability happens for General Motors? Things are not as heavy and easier to produce.
Sure. I think it again. I think I'll use this opportunity. The Silverado that you may have seen, you know, the 3WT work truck is now going to get 393 miles of range, and that's a work truck. And so, you know, the rest of the market and the customers say, well, I need 350 at least. Well, we're going to come with 393. The big dog in the Silverado is 450. Those are going to keep getting better. And so whether customers tell us that they want to buy a long-range vehicle or not, we can take the mods out of those batteries as the energy density gets better, and that's less cost. And so that's sort of the train that we're on in terms of giving our customers lots of different options, because everybody's got a different duty cycle, right? So I think that's really important, and I think that's going to you know, be great. And I think the digits in terms of profitability, you know, we have EVs that are profitable. We did, you know, 50,000 here this first half of the year. We're looking for another 100,000 here the second half of the year. That's our goal. And as some of these things come online, you're going to see profitable EVs, and that comes from doing our architectures from the ground up for batteries and not retrofitting things with that were internal combustion. And so you get the efficiency, you get the capability, you get the proportion, you get the functionality that you see on a Silverado, you see an Equinox, you see you know, all of those things. And so that's the opportunity. We're just unlocking it right now. So I think when you get past 25, you're going to start seeing that, I think, which is pretty soon. So I think you're going to see that.
It's like tomorrow. You know, it's interesting, Mark, you're a car guy. And before, when folks went shopping for a car, there were certain things that were important to them. Might have been miles per gallon, might have been horsepower. Everyone keeps talking about range, but people very infrequently actually drive 350 miles. You know, it's a weekend excursion, it's a infrequent trip. Do you think there's a time where folks, you know, I think the average commute in America is like 37 miles. Are we going to stop talking about range? Was that okay, we got to 300 and now we can move on? Nobody needs an EV that goes 900 miles?
I think that's a great question, and I think there's a couple dynamics in that question. Number one is, what are you buying? So if you're buying a truck, I want 450 miles because I want to tow. And so I want to tow up north. I want to tow 10,000 pounds. That's a different battery duty cycle, obviously, than an Equinox. You know,
right, because it's not every day.
No, it's not every day either. So, and then if you look at, I think, as range becomes more of a standard that you buy, and you can buy different ones, things become really important that kind of were important, but they're really, really important, which is the desirability and the design of the vehicle. And that becomes, I don't see that changing. So when you buy something that's as expensive as a vehicle, or an electric vehicle or an ICE vehicle, it's second only to most people's house. And I think it's still part of who you are. It's your passion. I want to be seen in it. I like to get into it. I want to drive it. I want to do that every day. I don't see that changing. So the design piece of this and what we can deliver to the customer from a customer experience standpoint in that design is going to be more and more important. And I think, you know, we've made some investments like a new design center in Warren, which we haven't done since like 1955, which is probably really needed. But this is a world-class talent and aesthetic and industrial design facility. So that's why we did it, and that's what I believe.
So kind of staying on that a little bit, you know, again, I was just over in Munich for the auto show. That's why I've got Europe top of mind. But over there, it's very apparent that the government is telling everyone what they have to do in certain countries. That feels very un-American, but there are certain regulations that are being put in place to help with the environment and you know, help all of us be good you know, corporate constituents. You know, when you think about the 100+ models of EVs that are going to be on the market next year, and maybe the appetite, is it moving too quickly that consumerism maybe won't be there or won't be able to catch up? How do you guys look at that?
I think we have a really unique opportunity as what's called a legacy automaker, where we have capacity and footprint in place. And so if you look at how we're using at GM our capacity, we're doing a multitude of things, and it's not a one-hit wonder. So in places like Spring Hill, Tennessee, we're going to make the Lyric, obviously, and we're making a couple other crossovers that are gasoline. We have a battery plant right next to Spring Hill, so we'll have that. We've got Factory Zero downtown, just right over the horizon here, that makes nothing but electric vehicles, primarily Hummer SUV, Silverado EV, and then our Sierra, and then our Cruise Origin AV. So that's all electric plus AV. We have those capacity footprints that enable us to be very flexible, is the reason why I bring that up. And so while we're moving towards an all-electric vehicle future very rapidly, we can flex it. And unlike other companies that are not legacy OEMs, we can fund our future with our internal combustion engine portfolio, which is why we continue to invest in that to keep it fresh, because we know a lot of people still love those vehicles. And once they get to experience electric vehicles, they're going to love those too. But a lot of people haven't driven an electric car. That's the fact. And so we'll see, right? And I think once people get into these and really understand how fun they are to drive, and how beautiful they can be, because the proportions on a dedicated platform are much different than a traditional vehicle, you get all that freedom, and design becomes something that is really you just can't beat.
So Simcoe's having fun.
Simcoe's having fun. So am I. I'm having fun with it, yeah. Well, not all the time, but a lot of the time, yeah. That's why we're here.
So talk about IRA real quick. You guys have mentioned the tax credits are a big deal. It obviously helps with pricing. Where do you see that going, and how important is it to cars like the Bolt?
Yeah, I mean, the Bolt, we just announced that we're going to do a next-gen version of it because, the reason why we had to stop it was we're facilitizing Lake Orion. If you haven't seen Lake Orion up the road, it's a city that's coming to life there. So the city piece of that has everything from, battery res assembly to the whole shebang. So we had to take Bolt out of production, and now we're going to put it back in because the customer response and the just the popularity of the vehicle. So does IRA help it? Yeah, it helps it. But I got to say, 4 years ago, we made the decision to do what we're doing in our portfolio and our plants. There was no IRA. So the mission has been, we're going to be profitable, and we're going to do it through scale. We're going to through our cell plants and partnerships, and we're going to do it right here.
All right, you got some people applauding back there. I could see a political future.
That makes one of you.
You mentioned Spring Hill. I say we, the industry, has been very good at making cars for quite a long time. A battery plant is a different thing. Are they a lot harder to build than a manufacturing facility?
There's things, I've been around a little while, but one of the coolest things I've witnessed, and I love going to our plants, I really do. It's like, I work in the future a little bit some of the time, but then when you get to see what you worked on 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever it is, come to life, there's like, that's like the best, right? And then you see customers who have never seen it, see it, that's the best. When you go into a cell plant, and I'd never been in a cell plant really, and you walk into Lordstown or in Spring Hill as it comes online, it's like nothing I've ever seen. So there are cells and modules being stored because of the process. There's incredible amount of space. Like it's hard to see the other side of the plant. And then you see all the people that are working in that, and it's a city. It literally is a city. And I used to think, plants like Wentzville or Lake Orion or DHAM Factory Zero were cities, which they kind of are because they've got 4,000 or 5,000 people in them. But this is the scale and the magnitude of the space is not like anything I've ever seen. So the plant itself is huge and very cool. The equipment that goes in it is what makes it really challenging, because to make that work and work in volume and scale with perfection is not something to be taken lightly. So the quality piece of that is extremely high. And I got to say, we're ready for it. So it's pretty awesome.